Before we get going, I'd just like to make a couple announcements. First of all, if you do plan on speaking today, there is a blue sheet that is up at the podium that you need to fill out, and you can just leave it up there, and we'll collect it later. It's your name and address and all that good stuff so that we can have you on record. How the commission works is that we take each case individually as they're on the agenda for today. The city will present the case to us. At that time, we will be able to ask the city any questions that we might need to get answered. After that is over with, the petitioner has time to come up and present any other information about the case that they would like. We can ask the petitioner questions at that time. After that is over, the public has time to come up and give public testimony for or against the case. You have 5 minutes to do that. And we'd kind of like, if you're going to say the same thing as somebody else in front of you, we'd just kind of like to say, I mean, you do have the right to speak and everything, but just kind of like say, yeah, I agree with the person in front of me, so we can kind of help speed things up. After that public testimony is done, the petitioner does have time to come up for a rebuttal. And when they're done with that, then we will close the hearing and we will take a vote and deliberate. And then the cases will go to the city council on probably June 27th, 26th, June 26th. I do have 1 o'clock, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, may I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Misselhorn? Here. Commissioner Anderson? Commissioner Berry? Commissioner Garib?
Here.
Commissioner Hurd?
Here.
Commissioner Eunice?
Here.
Chairman Weezahan?
Here. We have a quorum. May I have the motion to approve the minutes of May 3rd?
So moved.
The motion, do I have a second?
Second.
So motion and second, is there any corrections or changes or corrections? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Before we get into regular business, you want to make an announcement there real quick?
Commissioners, I just wanted to introduce you to our new planner. Her name is Carrie Lynn Gallagher. I wanted to welcome her to our meeting today. She started on Monday, so she's just getting into everything, and really excited that she's here. She comes with a lot of experience, so I think you will be in good hands when she is all up to speed with everything, and we're just wanted to thank her for being here and welcome her.
Thank you, Leah. Commissioners, also, if you parked in the parking deck across the street, you'll notice you got a new little ticket. Instead of getting stamps, you got these little cards that you have to scan on the way out, so you need to get those. Okey-doke. Any other questions or any business? Seeing none, first case then, PZ 1816. Mr. Sparks. Oh, yes, I will, just a second.
Yeah.
Anybody who plans on giving public testimony for or against any case that will be presented today, if you could please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn in by the clerk.
Stand and raise your right hand. Yes, forever.
For all cases, any case.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Roger. PZ 1816.
This is a request to hold a public hearing and forward a recommendation to the City Council on the request of Robert Culp of Midwest Engineering and Associates for Peoria Public Schools District 150 to rezone property from a Class R3 single-family residential district to a Class C1 general commercial district for a portion of the property, approximately 4.3 acres in the southwest corner of the property, located at 400 East War Memorial Drive, parcel identification 1428-276-001, and commonly known as Peoria Stadium. So this request has been modified since the time that the case was noticed, as it was continued from the previous meeting. The petitioner is amending their request to request CN neighborhood commercial zoning as opposed to C1 general commercial zoning that was originally requested. In addition, the size of the proposed commercial parcel has decreased from what started out as 4.3 acres, and it's now .772 acres. So it's a much smaller area that's requested to be rezoned to CN. The intent of the CN district, and I included the subdivision plat so that you're clear on the area that's proposed to be rezoned to CN, which is this area here labeled as Lot 1. The intent of the CN district is for commercial and office uses that primarily serve the immediate surrounding neighborhood. Typical uses occupy no more than 15,000 square feet of gross floor area. The district is not intended for use by major or large-scale commercial, sales, service, or automotive-oriented activities. Uses in this district are intended to be located immediately abutting residential neighborhoods and should be within convenient walking distance from the neighborhoods they're designated to serve. The property contains a legal non-conforming use of outdoor recreation for the Peoria Stadium. The property has historically been zoned residential. The Community Development Department examines each rezoning application against the standards that resulted from the case of LaSalle National Bank of Chicago versus Cook County and the city's comprehensive plan. As outlined in the memo, staff feels that all of the LaSalle factors have been met, and all of the standards for rezoning are also met. The Community Development Department recommends approval of the request to rezone to CN neighborhood commercial. Are there any questions?
I'd just like to make a quick comment. This has been delayed 2 or 3 times, and I just find it really odd that the state of Illinois would not work with the city of Peoria and have this done and over with, and not force the district into building a building and all that kind of stuff. Having said that, it is what it is, and we need to move forward with it, but to me, it just doesn't sit well. Sir, Misselhorn.
Chairman, the request, I suppose technically should read the request to rezone from R3 to CN, correct?
That's correct.
I know in the body it says that's a request, but we're, I guess, technically approving the request, right? So-
That's correct.
Okay.
The case description didn't change because it was noticed that way, but yes, the request is for CN, R3 to CN. Thank you.
Any other questions? You should be on.
More lot, the .07, the .7 acres, not the whole.
Right, so all your, the request that's before you is only a request to rezone, and it's for that small parcel that's shown here, .773 acres. That's it. There's this subdivision plat, so they're proposing to create this parcel, but the subdivision process, this is administrative review, and then the overall stadium plan, through the intergovernmental agreement with the school district, it's approved by the school board. So the only thing that's before you today is the rezoning.
What happens to the rest of the parcel?
The rest of the parcel will remain R3, single-family residential.
Has there been any public outcry?
There's been neighborhood meetings, and I believe there may be some residents from the surrounding neighborhood here today. There was 2 neighborhood meetings, and the school district has worked with the neighbors to address neighborhood concerns, which is really where the request for CN came from. One of the neighborhood residents suggested CN as opposed to C1, so the school district has been meeting with the neighbors and is responding to their concerns.
So the neighbors are okay with this new rezoning?
I haven't received any calls opposing it, so,
I think we'll find that out. in
yeah,
public testimony.
any neighbors that are here will be able to speak to that.
Okay.
Questions for the city? petitioner here would like to come forward, please? Could you please state your name and address for the record?
Robert Culp, I work at 1904 Northeast Monroe Street, in Peoria, Illinois, representing Midwest Engineering Associates here on behalf of Peoria Public Schools.
Would you like to add, or
Sorry, go ahead.
is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I mean, I agree with your sentiment that it's very frustrating due to federal statutes through the state that we have to go through this process just to put a sign up so that the school district and APSCO, who's represented here, the student body, can raise funds to start the process of rehabilitating the stadium and returning it to its former glory days and making some tweaks along the way. I mean, it is frustrating. This isn't where the school wanted to be. We thought this would be a much simpler process than it's obviously turned out to be. So, on that behalf, we just, thank you for your consideration. I'd like to thank Shannon and the city for all their assistance in trying to avoid having to rezone this.
Is there any questions? Anybody like to ask the petitioner any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Cope, what were some of the initial arguments or concerns brought up by the adjacent neighborhood associations?
I think my understanding, or inferring from what I heard, it goes beyond just the zoning. I think there's just concerns about what the overall build-out plan there is. Like, a lot of people park on the streets right now to use softball diamonds. The overall plan is to consolidate that, have parking lots, which is gonna take up some green space, and that to me is more of the overall concern, is the full plan, of which this is a microcosm of that, and it's a start in that direction, even with the rezoning. But to me, that's the bigger issue, is that plan that APSCO's developed to, help get funding to keep rejuvenating and refurbishing the stadium and maintaining it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, and I'd like to acknowledge the students from APSCO back there, all in their red shirts, and they've been doing a great job with the things that they've been done, and national awards and stuff, so congratulations to you guys. Anything else for the petitioner? Thank you. Is there anybody who'd like to give public testimony for or against this case? Please come forward. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is John McKee. My address is 3737 Oak Park Drive. I'm the president of the Oak Park Homeowners Association, and I would like to provide our official statement regarding the rezoning for the Peoria Stadium.
Thank you.
Oak Park Homeowners Association overwhelmingly supports Peoria Public School District 150's request to rezone a small portion of the Peoria Stadium property to allow for the placement of an electronic sign and school spirit store in order to facilitate the stadium improvement plan as presented by APSCO to the general public on April 30th, 2018. We believe that this plan to improve the stadium for continued sports and recreational use fits very closely within the framework of the combined neighborhood statement that was delivered on July 15th, 2013. We understand the commercial need for rezoning a small area in close proximity to War Memorial Drive. However, we request that the zoning be for the smallest footprint required for the sign and store, and that the rezoning is designated at the lowest commercial impact level required to accommodate this sign and store, such as neighborhood commercial. We also request that the location of the rezoned area is moved as far east on the property as practically possible to lessen any impact on the residents of Oak Park whose properties are directly adjacent to the stadium. The Oak Park Homeowners Association appreciates the school district's positive direction on improvements to the stadium and overall property, and we are encouraged by the school district's openness to keep the neighborhoods and general public informed. As we've always stated, we would like to be a part of the solution, and we look forward to helping with future fundraising activities and increasing awareness within the communities for this exciting move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to provide public testimony? Roger, you need a microphone? Here's one right here.
Got it, thank you.
Okay.
Roger Sparks, P.O. Box 3553, Peoria, Illinois, 61614. I'm an advocate for disabled rights. I was at the meeting at the end of April at the Toyota Stadium, and yeah, they did bring it down to .772 acres. But most of the residents were upset that it was on the west side, and they wanted to move over to the southeast side of that, which I don't think the school district or anybody's gonna do. But also their site plan showed that that lot is gonna be broken down into 5 or 6 smaller lots and sold to developers and to stores. They need to have public access to public transportation that runs up and down War Memorial. Those sidewalks are in deplorable condition. The curb cuts at that driveway, there's none. I had to go in the grass because there was no curb cut to cross that driveway. That driveway is also across from California Avenue. If you're planning on using that road, I would suggest you put in a traffic light there, because the cars that use California already have a hard time taking a left turn onto War Memorial. It's gonna be the same way if they're coming out of the existing road out of the Peoria Stadium. They're gonna have a hard time taking a left turn. So a traffic light's gonna be needed if they're gonna use that road. That's why another reason it's, instead of the southwest corner, it needs to be moved to the southeast corner. At least they can use New York Avenue and come out. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Else? Seeing none, I'll close the hearing. We have a motion? So moved. We have a motion, do I have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? I mean, I do agree with Roger, and not only because of what he said, but because my daughter attends Peoria Christian, and you can't get out of there every day, but, that is a tough spot, and I don't know, Leah, or, Shannon, if that can be addressed with Public Works or whatever as we're moving forward. That'd be something that we really need to look at.
We can look at that as part of the overall stadium plan. We did, there's been several meetings out at the site, and we did look at, following the neighborhood meeting, we did look at, a rezoning on the southeast corner, closer to the commercial, but because of the existing layout of the site and the fields that are there, and the agreement that the school district has with the park district, it just didn't quite work, which is why, they continued with this location, but we can look at the traffic signals and access. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure that, we're not reviewing a site development plan, we're looking at the rezoning of the property, but at the appropriate time, conditions of sidewalks and signalization and so forth. And we certainly heard from the Oak Park neighborhood president that they overwhelmingly supported this, so we have to go with what the,
Any other remarks?
says.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Wait a minute, back up. After conversation with the legal department and everything else, we need to go over these findings of facts.
These are the findings of fact for a rezoning case.
We really need to stop after each one. Is there any discussion, and say yea or nay and move on from there?
Okay. The answer to each of these points is no negative or negative impact on existing uses of property within the general area of the property in question.
No.
Negative? No negative, do we concur?
No negative.
The zoning classification of property, the zoning classification of the property within the general area of the property in question. But I'll also say no negative.
No negative.
The suitability of the property in question to the uses permitted under the existing zoning classification. Also, no negative. Do we concur?
Sure.
The trend of development, if any, in the general area of the property in question.
No negative.
The suitability of the property for the use or uses proposed by the proffered amendment. No negative?
No negative.
The investigation of other suitable ways of accomplishing the proposed purpose of the amendatory petition. As far as we know, that was investigated, and there would be other suitable ways because of agreements with the Park District. No negative. The health, safety, and general welfare of the city in the general and immediate area of the property subject to the amendment would be no negative. The enjoyment of the property by neighbors for its intended use, no negative. That granting the amendment is consistent with the purpose and intent of this development code, no negative. And the last one is that granting the amendment is consistent with the purpose and intent of the adopted plans, no negative. Those are the findings of fact.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion passes. Good luck, guys. Go to city council on the 26th. Next case in front of us, PZ 1822.
Okay. Case number PZ 1822, request to hold a public hearing and forward a recommendation to the City Council on the request of Jim Youngman of Adams Outdoor Advertising to obtain a special use in a Class C2 large-scale commercial district for an off-premise sign with waivers for the property identified as parcel identification number 1429302-002 with an address of 3505 North Trees in Peoria, Council District 2. Petitioner is requesting to obtain a special use for a multi-message digital off-premise sign with waivers. Because off-premise signs 300 to 700 feet in area require a special use, the request is before us. The requested sign is 672 square feet in area. So waivers for number, separation, setback requirements are included with the request, and I will go through the detail now. As far as number allowed, the applicant proposes to locate a new off-premise sign along Interstate 74 in an area, it's designated as freeway access controlled, and on our City of Peoria street plan and thoroughfare map. So the waiver requested would be from UDC, Unified Development Code 8310 CF, to allow more than 2 off-premise signs along the thoroughfare designated as freeway access controlled. The applicant states the proposed sign will not cause visual clutter, and the nearest off-premise on the same freeway is 2.9 miles from the proposed one. So the Development Review Board comment is to deny this waiver because already existing, and I have a map. In blue, sort of hard to see from here, but in blue, along the way, outlined in red, are locations of other signs that are already existing. There's actually already 3 right now. There's one from 1418 Lynn, 400 Northeast Adams, and then 710 Fayette. As far as replacement signs, the ordinance is written so that there's so many replacements that are allowed, and they also, the applicant needs to name what is coming down.